Hi, I'm H.G. Watson with Daily Xtra, and today I'm speaking with Albert MacLeod. Albert is the co-director of Two-Spirited People Manitoba. So can you tell us a little bit about the work that Two-Spirited People Manitoba does?
Well, what we do is we do community education about LGBT Aboriginal people in Manitoba. We also do some programming, community events for Two-Spirit people, and then we also do some advocacy in terms of any government programs or policies or legislation.
Can you actually tell me a little bit about where the word Two-Spirited originated from?
Well, the term Two-Spirit, I guess, is an aspect of our cultural identity, which involves spirit naming or renaming. And I think in Canada, as Aboriginal people decolonize, a lot of the names that were sort of given to Aboriginal communities were very colonial names that had to do with that history. And now some of the communities are renaming their communities in more traditional names and in the languages as well. So it is a process of decolonization and liberation, and I think that also mirrors what happened in the Two-Spirit community or the Aboriginal LGBT community in 1990, where the term was introduced at one of our international gatherings, and it seemed to resonate with quite a number of people. So since 1990, it has been a term that we've chosen to identify ourselves as, and that there's a spiritual component to our existence, I guess. That's kind of how it's.
You had mentioned that renaming is an act of liberation, and you've noticed now among younger First Nations that they've taken up a name of their own, and what is that?
Well, it's more of a full circle. I was talking about that in sort of the Ojibwe culture, agokwe would have been one of the terms that was used to describe someone who would be, a gay man or a trans woman, and how some of the youth are actually, not using the term Two-Spirit, but actually going into their culture and finding the terms in the language that would have been used. So it's kind of gone full circle in like less than 200 years. The indigenous languages are kind of like the touchstone for authentic culture, and so knowing those words and using them, I think for them is a form of liberating their identities and making stronger connections to the past.
Now, what do you think needs to be done to bridge the gap between the LGBT community and the Two-Spirit community, and how can you guys work together?
Well, in some ways, we are working together, and a lot of the LGBT organizations, they've added the extra T to include Two-Spirit. So in many sectors, we are identified, but I think part of it is we need more programmings within the broader LGBT community that specifically meet the needs of Two-Spirit people, and do some sharing there, and hiring some staff who are Two-Spirit to work.
Well, that's great. Thank you so much for answering all our questions today.
Great. Thanks. Great to be here.